And welcome back to The Price of Business. This is Sigmund Kramer, and with me I've got Lance Malone and his guest. Lance Malone, by the way, of Standard Supply, a great contributor to The Price of Business, and his guest today, Ray Brown. Lance, you there?
Yes, I am, Sigmund. How are you?
Good. Back for another segment. And Ray, are you there too?
Yes, I am.
Excellent. Well, Lance, with Standard Supply, go ahead and tell our listeners, if they're just joining us, who you are and what Standard Supply is all about, and then reintroduce your guest.
Sure. Thanks, Sigmund. You can find out all you want to know about Standard Supply at ssdhvac.com. And basically what we do is we distribute heating, air conditioning, ventilation, and refrigeration products to contractors all over the state of Texas to help them take care of their homeowners and businesses with their needs for heating and cooling and refrigeration. And Ray Brown is with me today. Ray owns Interglow Mechanical, and you can find out all you want to know about them at interglowmechanical.com. That's INNERGLOW mechanical.com. Or you can call them at 972-790-2600. Welcome back, Ray.
Thanks. Glad to be back.
In our last segment, we were talking a little bit about the fact that you chose the AMANA brand of equipment to sell when you started your business. And there was one thing that I wanted to mention to the listeners about AMANA that a lot of people may not know. Where is AMANA made?
Made 100% here in Texas.
By who?
By the Goodman Manufacturing Company.
By the Goodman Manufacturing Company, which is right here in Houston, Texas, and employs thousands of Texans every day in our industry. So, Ray, we were talking about replacing equipment and warranties and so forth earlier. Tell us about the process that a homeowner should go through when they think they might need to replace their air conditioner.
Well, one of the things that I recommend to a homeowner, if they don't have a company that they're used to dealing with one-on-one, in that they trust wholeheartedly, that they get a minimum of three bids. And then I recommend that they compare those three bids, line item by line item. And from that point, they need to ask questions. If they've got any questions or concerns, they need to ask those, and ask them of all three companies.
Okay. That's pretty unusual in that a lot of contractors I talk to would prefer that their customers didn't get additional bids. But I want to highlight something you said in that if you don't have a relationship with a company that you trust and you've been working with, then it just makes sense to compare pricing.
Absolutely. You wouldn't have a plumber come in or you wouldn't have surgery without getting second opinions. Right. I don't believe. So, this is basically surgery on your home.
Right. Yeah, and most people don't realize that it is the most expensive appliance in your home by a long shot, your HVAC system.
Absolutely.
What are some of the dangers of comparing contractors' bids?
Well, I don't know that danger is the correct word, but, I welcome someone to compare other contractors' bids with mine. I'm not going to be the cheapest all the time. I'm not going to be the most expensive, but, when I'm doing bids for a job, typically people will throw out the highest and the lowest and work in the middle somewhere. And, I do commercial as well as residential, and the general contractors that I work with may get 20 or 30 mechanical bids, HVAC bids, and that's what they do is they throw out the high and the lows and work in the middle. And the biggest thing is you need to ask your questions. Then the biggest question is if it's not listed on your proposal, are y'all pulling a permit for this job? Permits are required in virtually every city in the country. And if it's not listed on there, ask them, make them prove it, make them put it on the proposal that they're including a permit.
And why would a contractor not want to include a permit?
If they're doing substandard work to start with, we permit every job that we do. Sometimes it may be a little bit after the initial installation, and let me explain that. A few nights ago, we had an emergency call. The customer had no heat. Their heat exchanger was cracked. I wouldn't turn it back on. We replaced the furnace for them at 10 o'clock at night. And in doing so, we couldn't pull a permit until the next morning. But the next morning, I guarantee you, I was down there pulling a permit for for that job.
Right.
And, the customer appreciated that, even though that they had to stay home a little additional time for the inspector to come inspect our work. They appreciated that there was a second set of eyes put on it.
Well, that's a really good point. Isn't it best for the homeowner to be there for the permit process?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That way the inspector could tell them if there are any deficiencies, and they can get the installing contractor back.
Okay, so are there any other things that a homeowner should look at when they're comparing bids between multiple contractors?
Well, almost everything seems like it's price driven, but don't go just by price. Look at your warranties. Again, ask questions. What is your warranty on this system, or what is your warranty on that system? Especially if they're bidding different different brands of equipment. Track record of the contractor. How long have they been in business? Do they have insurance? That's one of the biggest things. Is, do they have insurance? Are they state licensed? In order to work in this business in the state of Texas, you have to be licensed, and you can't pull a permit if you're not licensed. To be licensed, you have to have insurance. That insurance does nothing but cover you as the homeowner.
So I guess one of the other possibilities might be that the different contractors are not proposing the same level of equipment. How can someone who doesn't know anything about air conditioning ask the right questions to find that out?
Ask about the different SEER ratings. Compare apples to apples. There's a lot of different similarities between systems, but there's a lot of differences as well. You can buy a SEER rating and, somebody will tell you it's a true 16 SEER, but it's not. Ask them for an ARI standard sheet on it, on the system, and that'll tell you the exact SEER on it. A nominal 16 SEER system usually comes in at about 15.2 to 15.5.
Well, that's really good information that most people don't know. There actually is an industry standards organization that provides an actual SEER rating on every matched piece of equipment that could go in your house. So you always want to ask your contractor for that so you know exactly what it is you're getting. Hey, thanks for joining us today, Ray. We've had Ray Brown as our guest today with Interglow Mechanical here in Irving, Texas. You can find out more about them at interglowmechanical.com or call them at 972-790-2600. I'm Lance Malone with Standard Supply. You can find out all you want to know about us at ssdhvac.com.
Excellent. Well, guys, thanks so much for being on today. We appreciate it. And you'll hear more from Kevin Price here in a minute, right here on The Price of Business.